I received an email today from Eddie, and he wanted me to clarify what I meant when I said that athletes need to be able to race at 85%. I talked about this on my Coach Robb podcast, and in case you didn't see the podcast, I need to set the context. If you're doing any kind of physical activity that's over 90 seconds to 2 minutes or above, it's physiologically impossible to run at an anaerobic mode, hence the word working without the presence of oxygen. So when we think of something like track and field where they're going to run 100 meters wide open, that tends to be more of an anaerobic type effort. They're getting up to speed and maintaining it for 3 to 4 seconds and then shutting it down. So I need to make sure that the context is set properly. When you look at ball and stick sports like lacrosse, soccer, things that have continuous movement with explosion, there's no way that you're going to be able to last an entire quarter if you go anaerobic. If you're looking at something like an endurance event, triathlons, running, mountain bike, or road cycling, anything that involves continuous effort, this is where I was speaking about being able to perform at 85%. Now I need to elaborate on both sides of this equation. That's why I appreciated this question. It tells me that you guys are paying attention. When you get over that threshold and you go into a mode of anaerobic, it is a non-sustainable effort. Now, can we improve that? Absolutely. That's where we get the word anaerobic threshold. You can increase your tolerance, lactate tolerance, anaerobic threshold. You can train to improve that top end ceiling. But I want to kind of go back to the other side of the equation. The context that I was speaking about is I want you to have a big enough strength base in an aerobic engine that you're out there in cruise mode and everybody else is working so hard they can't keep up. That's literally the whole genesis behind the concept of racing at 85%. Unfortunately, most people think the only way to go fast is go fast, when ironically, you have to build an aerobic engine. It takes about 6 months to do it correctly. You have to have a tremendous strength base to complement that aerobic engine. That also takes 6 to 8 months to build. So when you keep that in mind when you're laying out your race season, you've got to keep that concept at the forefront. And I see people undermining their true potential. And unfortunately, I see them even losing a year of training because they think the only way to go fast is to constantly go fast. If I were to challenge you in a race, let's say we have 2 automobiles, and I'm going to give you a crisp $100 bill if you can hit 100 miles an hour. Are you going to take a car that has a big V8, V10, V12 engine, or are you going to choose the one that's got a V4 engine? Now, is there a possibility that the V4 could hit 100 miles an hour? Of course, but keep it in the context of what we're speaking about. Which is it easier to hit 100 miles an hour with, a V4 or a V12? And that's the way I need you to think about your human body. If you're an athlete that requires sustainable energy and you allow yourself to go anaerobic, you have no direction to go but backwards. For those of you that run, how many times have you seen people go out way too fast? Literally, you can physically see them blow up. Their whole body disposition changes. They start coming back to you. So when you look at types of training that we've talked about in other videos, negative splitting, making the second half of the race faster than the first, that's the whole concept. You need to be able to control the race at 80 to 85%. Now, some people will continue to take this video out of context and say, there's no way you can win a race at 80 to 85%. Well, if I take and put you against one of the top professionals in your sport, why are they able to do it so consistently, good form, good biomechanics, good pacing, and hold it to the end? Because they're fitter, they're stronger, they're faster than you. They're not racing at their anaerobic threshold to beat you. So that's what I want you to take away from this video relevant to what I discussed on the Coach Robb podcast. When we refer to, from a physiological standpoint, racing at 85%, it allows a little bit of margin in case something goes wrong. If you're racing a motorcycle and you put the bike down, it gives you that ability to have enough energy to be able to pick the bike up and resume the same intensity and lap speed that you were maintaining before the bike went down. If you're in a road race from a cycling standpoint, if somebody bridges up to you, you want to have a little bit in the tank that you can throw in another surge and drop them and then settle back down to your 80, 85%. There's a ton of physiology that we're talking about here in this video, so it's not just about tomorrow morning you could take this concept and go apply it. You've got to build the physiological base of strength and aerobic capacity, work on your sprint speed, get your anaerobic threshold, lactate tolerance elevated, then you integrate those two together, and now you have a race strategy. Thank you so much for this question. I appreciate you guys supporting the Coach Robb podcast. If you happen to have a question, I don't care what the subject is, we're doing a video every single day here on Coach Robb Beam's YouTube channel answering your questions. Could be a frustration, could be a clarification. If you happen to have something that you want us to dive into, please feel free to send us an email at contact@coachrobb.com. Thank you again for watching these videos. We're putting one out each and every day, so I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.